States, I will proudly sign it into law.
Be a president for all Americans. I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Can Kamala Harris really become the next president of the United States? From breaking barriers to making tough decisions, her journey is packed with historic firsts, but also with big challenges. Did you know she's the highest-ranking woman in American history? In this documentary, we'll uncover the choices, controversies, and unique moments that shaped her path. Stay with us to see the real impact she could have on the future of America. This is Kamala Harris's journey like you've never seen before.
You see a lot when you're the firstborn. I saw my mother and how she worked hard, and she was full of pride and would never want anyone to ever pity her. She never complained about anything. But I also knew how she suffered. I knew how she stayed up late at night trying to figure things out. She was a brown woman with an accent. I remember going into, a store and us being followed. I remember how people would look at my mother and make certain assumptions about her intelligence or her capacity or her right to belong.
Kamala Harris's journey is a wide variety of experiences that shaped her into the historic figure we know today. Born in 1964 in Oakland, California, Kamala was no stranger to the struggle for justice and equality. Her parents, Shyamala Gopalan and Donald Harris, were both immigrants, scholars, and most importantly, advocates for social change. Each brought their unique background and aspirations to their new life in America, planting seeds in Kamala that would grow into a powerful sense of purpose. Her mother, Shyamala, was a brilliant scientist with a strong activist spirit. She was a tiny woman with a fierce drive who would often say to Kamala and her younger sister, Maya, "My purpose is not to give you what I didn't have. My purpose is to make sure you have every opportunity to do what you believe in." This belief was her guiding star, and she made sure her daughters embraced it too. Shyamala's dedication to both her work and the civil rights movement left a deep impression on Kamala. She often accompanied her mother to protests and rallies, where she was exposed to the raw emotions and realities of fighting for justice. Here, among the voices and signs, Kamala witnessed the impact of unity for the first time. Shyamala's influence went beyond marches and speeches. She constantly educated Kamala on what it meant to be a Black and South Asian woman in America. In their household, conversation about culture, identity, and the struggle for equality wasn't reserved for special moments. It was woven into everyday life. But Kamala's understanding of her cultural heritage wasn't limited to her experiences in the United States. Her mother took her on frequent trips to Chennai, India, where she would spend time with her grandmother, a woman with an unwavering commitment to community service. Kamala would watch her grandmother, an educator and local activist, navigate the responsibilities of supporting her village. She saw firsthand how leadership and compassion could impact an entire community, regardless of its size or wealth. These visits to India weren't just family reunions. They were lessons in humility, purpose, and the connection of global communities. In her teenage years, Kamala faced another pivotal change. Her family moved to Montreal, Canada, for her mother's career. This new environment came with its own challenges, adjusting to a new culture, making friends, and learning a different set of social norms. Yet this transition taught her resilience in a profound way. Kamala had to adapt quickly, which only supported her ability to understand with others facing similar situations. The move to Montreal added a layer of depth to her understanding of what it meant to be an immigrant and the importance of preserving one's identity amid change. This sense of adaptability would serve Kamala well as she pursued her education. When it came time for college, she chose Howard University, a historically Black college in Washington, D.C. Howard was a life-changing experience, offering her a safe haven to embrace her identity fully. At Howard, She was surrounded by students and mentors who shared her drive and ambition, and she thrived. Her time there wasn't just about academics, it was about building her sense of self and purpose. She joined the debate team, became a leader in various campus organizations, and discovered the power of her voice. During these formative years, Kamala also learned that fighting for justice often required taking an unpopular stance. Howard was a place where she could learn, challenge, and be challenged, ultimately shaping her belief that true leadership wasn't about pleasing everyone. It was about staying true to one's values and the communities one serves. Her experience there solidified her commitment to justice, equality, and the belief that leadership should reflect the diversity of the people it serves. Kamala often spoke of Howard as the place where she learned the power of community and the importance of advocacy. She encountered mentors who emphasized that success wasn't simply about individual achievements, but about lifting others along the way. These lessons stayed with her, fueling her desire to pursue justice for those without a voice.
Surrounded full-time by adults who spent their time marching and shouting about this thing called justice.
After Howard, Kamala's path led her to the University of California, Hastings College of the Law. Here, she dove into her studies with the same passion, yet it wasn't just about earning a degree. It was about gaining the skills necessary to defend people's rights. At Hastings, she saw law as a tool to create systemic change. But learning the legal system also showed her its shortcomings and biases. This knowledge only strengthened her resolve to work from within, to challenge the norms and barriers in place. By the time she graduated and became a young prosecutor in Alameda County, California, Kamala was ready to confront the realities of the justice system. Starting her career in criminal justice wasn't easy. She was known among her colleagues for her diligence and dedication, and she quickly earned respect as a prosecutor who didn't take shortcuts. Working as a prosecutor gave Kamala a front-row seat to the complexities of the justice system. She faced the harsh reality of seeing people cycle in and out of the system and grappled with the limitations of the tools available to enact real change. But rather than becoming discouraged, Kamala used this experience to drive her ambition further. She saw the system's flaws not as deterrents, but as obstacles she could work to dismantle. They were a transformative journey that strengthened her commitment to equity, fairness, and her belief that the law could and should be a force for good. When Kamala became the district attorney of San Francisco in 2003, she took on one of the toughest jobs in the city. She was the first woman and the first person of color to serve in this role, which was a huge achievement, but it came with serious challenges. Her goal wasn't just to fight crime, but to change how justice worked in the city. She wanted to focus on reducing crime, helping victims, and supporting youth to prevent them from turning to crime in the first place. One of her key efforts was launching programs to help young offenders get back on track. One of these programs was Back on Track, which gave first-time nonviolent offenders a chance to avoid jail if they finished school or job training. Kamala believed this approach was a way to prevent people from being trapped in a cycle of crime. She wanted to show that the system could give people a second chance if they were willing to change.
feel great. I feel terrific. I'm just excited.
But her approach wasn't always popular. Some people thought she was being too lenient, while others felt her programs didn't go far enough. Despite these criticisms, she held her ground, determined to find solutions that were both tough on crime and fair to people. Kamala's focus on second chances showed her belief in a justice system that could reform rather than just punish. In 2011, Kamala was elected as California's Attorney General, again making history as the first woman and person of color in the role. This position gave her the opportunity to make an impact across the entire state. One of her biggest battles as Attorney General was taking on the big banks after the 2008 financial crisis. She fought for homeowners who had been unfairly treated.
Is we gave those families.
Kamala also focused on protecting children, reforming criminal justice, and advocating for civil rights. She faced challenges too as she tackled the complexities of law enforcement reform. Kamala knew she had to walk a fine line between supporting police work and pushing for accountability within the system. Her journey as district attorney and attorney general was full of tough choices and challenges, but it showed her commitment to creating a fairer justice system. Each role prepared her for even bigger responsibilities and set the stage for what would come next in her career. In 2016, Kamala Harris ran for the U.S. Senate, representing California.
I am excited to stand before you as a proud California candidate for the United States Senate.
Winning her seat meant Kamala would now be making decisions not just for California, but for the whole country. Kamala wanted to bring the voices of ordinary people to the Senate floor. During her time in the Senate, Kamala became known for her powerful questioning style. She asked tough questions of leaders and officials, demanding clear answers and accountability. One of her most memorable moments came during her questioning of Jeff Sessions, the then Attorney General, over issues related to Russia. Her sharp, no-nonsense approach made headlines, showing the public that she was not afraid to push for answers, even from the most powerful people. But Kamala's time in the Senate wasn't just about high-profile questioning. She worked on laws to protect people's rights, like proposing a bill to help those who were unfairly charged for bail, a major issue affecting low-income individuals. Her approach was to focus on practical solutions that would have real impacts on people's lives. In 2019, Kamala made a big decision. She announced she was running for president in the 2020 election.
What announcement you'd like to make?
I am running for president of the United States.
Her campaign started with excitement and hope. She presented herself as a strong, progressive leader who could bring change. While her campaign didn't make it all the way, it raised her national profile and showed the world what she stood for. Kamala's journey to the Senate and her run for president revealed her as a powerful voice for fairness and equality. Although her presidential campaign ended early,
I'm suspending our campaign today.
You ready to go to work?
Oh my God, I'm so ready to go to work.
her impact was felt, and she gained a new level of recognition
We did it, Joe.
that would soon lead to her historic role as vice president. Kamala Harris's inauguration as Vice President of the United States in January 2021 marked a historic moment. She was the first woman, the first Black person, and the first person of South Asian descent to hold the office. This wasn't just a personal achievement. It was a huge step for representation in America. Kamala knew her role was about more than just politics. It was about inspiring generations to believe in their own power to make a difference. As vice president, she took on a broad range of responsibilities, from tackling urgent issues like immigration and healthcare to representing the U.S. in talks with other nations. One of her main goals was to help address the root causes of migration from Central America, aiming to create conditions that would allow people to build better lives in their home countries. Kamala also continued her focus on justice and equality, working on laws to make life fairer for more Americans. She was determined to bring about change on a national level, just as she had throughout her career. With each decision, speech, and policy, Kamala Harris continued to break new ground, not only as a political leader, but as a symbol of possibility for everyone who sees themselves in her story. Kamala Harris's journey is far from over. As vice president, she continues to shape her vision for America, but many wonder what the future holds. Could she become the nation's first female president, breaking yet another barrier? Kamala Harris's 2024 presidential candidacy comes as a historic move, following President Joe Biden's endorsement and subsequent withdrawal from the race.
Biden has decided to step out of the race for the White House.
He is offering his full support and endorsement for Kamala Harris.
I accept your nomination to be President of the United States of America.
Harris secured the Democratic nomination in August 2024, making her the first woman of color to achieve this position. Her campaign agenda is deeply aligned with the Democratic platform, focusing on healthcare, economic reforms, social justice, and climate action, while also marking some distinct policy goals that set her apart from Biden's administration. Some of her key policy pledges include strengthening voting rights, implementing universal health care measures, expanding affordable housing, and establishing stricter environmental regulations. Harris aims to address economic disparities through a populist economic lens, advocating for policies like grocery price regulations, an expansion of the child tax credit, and limitations on prescription drug prices, which were central to Biden's administration, but would expand further under her leadership. On foreign policy, she supports continued military aid to Ukraine and Israel, while promoting peace negotiations and conflict resolution strategies. Harris's platform also addresses civil rights, proposing nationwide protections for LGBTQ+ communities through the Equality Act, paid family and medical leave, and minimum wage reforms. She has notably called for criminal justice reforms, including revisiting practices like cash bail and pushing for more oversight in law enforcement accountability. This historic candidacy not only positions Harris as a potential trailblazer in American politics, but also presents a robust domestic and international policy agenda that aligns with her vision for progressive change in the U.S. Yet, with all these responsibilities, Kamala remains aware that her role carries symbolic importance. She recognizes that she's not only a leader, but a role model for millions. Young girls, especially girls of color, look up to her as proof that they, too, can reach the highest levels of leadership. Kamala takes this responsibility seriously, knowing that each step she takes inspires others to aim high and dream big. With her sights set on these challenges, Kamala Harris remains committed to a path of progress. She knows the stakes are high, and as she forges ahead, each decision carries the weight of both history and the future. In the eyes of many, she represents the hope for a more inclusive America, and her journey is far from over. Imagine America's first woman of color as president, Kamala Harris, a leader with a vision to reshape healthcare, economic justice, and civil rights. Could this be the historic turning point that changes everything? Kamala Harris's journey embodies more than just one candidate's ambitions. It reflects the dreams of countless Americans hoping for a fairer, more inclusive future. No matter what happens next, her story is already redefining American politics. This approach hooks viewers with the promise of insight into Harris's potential impact and positions the documentary as an exploration of historic stakes, ending on a note that emphasizes lasting change and the significance of her journey. Want to see what could be the most transformative leadership in American history? Dive into Kamala Harris's journey with us.
Are we ready to win? It's good to be back.
There's so much at stake in her candidacy, and understanding it could reshape how we see the future. Hit subscribe and stay tuned, because the story is just beginning.